In this video, I want to talk about reverse Cassandra syndrome, when the autistic husband suddenly feels like the victim. Can you imagine that? Okay, so imagine living for years with a spouse who feels lonely, emotionally unseen, and chronically disappointed. Now, imagine what happens when the pain finally boils over. So today, I want to talk about something that almost nobody discusses. I'm going to call it reverse Cassandra syndrome. To be clear, this isn't an official diagnosis. It's simply a way to describe a pattern that many neurodiverse couples eventually experience. Now, in the beginning of many neurodiverse marriages, the neurotypical spouse often carries the emotional burden. They long for empathy, conversation, affection, emotional attunement, and partnership. They repeatedly explain their needs, hoping things will change. Months become years, years become decades. Eventually, something inside them begins to harden, and why wouldn't it? The sadness slowly transforms into resentment. The longing becomes anger. Hope gives way to emotional exhaustion. That is the heartbreaking progression that many people recognize as Cassandra syndrome. But here's where the story often takes an unexpected turn. After years of feeling emotionally deprived, the neurotypical spouse may begin protecting themselves in ways that dramatically change the relationship. They stop initiating conversations. They become sarcastic. They criticize more often. Their patience disappears. They withdraw affection. Sometimes they yell. Sometimes they become emotionally cold. And sometimes they simply stop caring. From the autistic spouse's perspective, everything suddenly seems to have changed. They're now living with someone who appears constantly angry, critical, rejecting, or emotionally unavailable. Many autistic husbands have told me, I don't understand why she's always mad at me, or I feel like I can never do anything right, or I'm starting to feel emotionally abused, or she doesn't even like being in the same room with me. And in that moment, both partners genuinely feel like victims. The neurotypical spouse remembers 20 years of emotional loneliness, and now the autistic spouse experiences today's criticism and rejection as abuse. Both experiences are real. Both people are hurting. The difficulty is that each partner is looking at a different timeline. The neurotypical spouse is carrying thousands of moments of accumulated pain. The autistic spouse is reacting to the current emotional climate. Neither perspective tells the entire story. Let me give you an example. John comes home from work and says, "What's for dinner?" His wife immediately snaps. "You have hands, figure it out yourself." John feels shocked. Why is she so mean? But what John doesn't see is that his wife isn't reacting only to today's question. She's reacting to 15 years of feeling emotionally alone. She's remembering every birthday that felt forgotten, every conversation where she didn't feel understood, every crisis she navigated by herself, every night she cried alone after everyone else went to sleep. So to John, it seems like the explosion came out of nowhere. But to his wife, it's the result of thousands of small emotional injuries. Now, let's be equally fair here. Once resentment takes over, the neurotypical spouse can begin behaving in ways that genuinely become hurtful. Constant criticism, contempt, mocking, stonewalling, hostility, personal attacks. These behaviors create new wounds. Eventually, the autistic spouse develops anxiety around their NT wife. They become defensive. They withdraw even further. She has become his number one source of stress. His main goal in a 24-hour period is to avoid her as much as possible. And now the marriage enters a destructive cycle where both partners feel unsafe. Trust is shot. One partner is reacting to years of emotional deprivation. The other is reacting to ongoing emotional hostility. This is why simply deciding who is right never helps. The question isn't who started it. The question should be, how did we get here? Understanding the sequence changes everything. Compassion doesn't require excusing harmful behavior. The neurotypical spouse's years of emotional pain deserve recognition. But at the same time, ongoing criticism and contempt are far from being solutions. Likewise, the autistic spouse's neurological differences deserve understanding, but they don't eliminate responsibility for learning emotional awareness and relationship skills. To the ASD husbands out there, did you hear me? Healing begins when both partners become curious instead of defensive. The neurotypical spouse begins asking, how has chronic loneliness changed me? The autistic spouse begins asking, what have I failed to notice over these years? Those two questions open a very different conversation because the goal isn't proving who suffered more. Let's not keep a scorecard about this. The goal is understanding how two wounded people unintentionally created a cycle that now hurts them both. Now, if your marriage feels like this, you're not alone. Most of the neurodiverse couples I work with find themselves trapped in this painful reversal of Cassandra syndrome. The encouraging news is that once both partners understand the pattern, they can stop fighting each other and begin addressing the cycle itself. And that's where true healing begins. I'm interested in your experience. Please comment. I will read and respond to your comment. Also, if this resonates, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.